We're talking etiquette in just a moment, actually, and how do you handle that problem that many people have? It's a real problem for me, inappropriate laughing, and sometimes inappropriate crying. How do you handle it? This is what you said on the street.
When have you laughed when you shouldn't have?
I seen a guy running for the bus and he fell right on his bum.
When an old lady fell and I was meant to help her.
So have you ever laughed when you really weren't meant to?
When I was having sex, yeah.
He literally felt like off a two-story roof and I managed to laugh.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I just caught something. I can't stop laughing.
I was actually telling my friend that my friend's father had just passed away. And
you laughed at that?
It was horrible.
I've been scared of this all my life.
I laughed at my boss when I wanted to quit.
Sing to me, okay? No, just look at me, okay?
You know, Lady Danielle Di-Masi joins us now, our etiquette expert. The funny thing is, this strikes you at the least appropriate times, and that's what makes it so funny, is it?
Well, it draws on more laughter because you're trying to make yourself stop. So that's why we're going to talk about some strategies that will work.
We're going to have strategies that you can use to prevent the embarrassment. Obviously, there's laughing and there's inappropriate crying. Yes. Inappropriate crying, less common and usually less of a problem, so let's quickly handle that. What's that caused by?
A whole range of things. It could be grief, pain, fear, inappropriate situations or frustration. But it might also be at your wedding you don't want to cry, or giving a speech at a funeral and so forth.
So it's inappropriate if you don't want to be doing it?
It's not really inappropriate. You just don't necessarily want to be portraying that.
Can you change your body so that you stop crying?
You can. You can trick your body into stop crying. There's a few different ways, and it's either changing your focus of your brain, so thinking about something different, like a hard math question or your grandma's recipe, that sort of thing, or changing your body focus, so pinching yourself or your leg, biting your tongue. You don't want to hurt yourself, but these are the things that
you might end up crying.
You might cry, yeah, that's right. So these things will just change, but a big one is not to cry, is to look up into a light and blink into a light, and it will constrict your pupil.
That is interesting, actually, because also that would be a distraction.
Yeah,
I mean, it would be a distraction to the person talking to you as well. But, OK, so that handles crying. The much more common one is inappropriate laughing.
Yeah.
So you're in a position like, say, a funeral, and you actually, nothing is funny, but you start to laugh. Look at me.
Human emotion is such a complex thing, and it can be just a release of emotion is what you're doing, or nerves, tension.
But it can really be, for other people, they can think it's appalling.
Appalling.
So if you're struck by that, what do you do? Similar strategies?
Yeah, very similar. Again, biting, the saying tongue-in-cheek, that's where this comes from, pushing your tongue up the top of your mouth or the side of your cheek. It also allows you to bite your tongue if you really need to stop.
You want to be a bit careful with that one. That'd be a last resort thing.
Again, the math question, so changing the focus of your brain, pinching yourself.
So completely concentrating on... Now, I know one of the things you've said is don't make eye contact with people. If you're, like, literally inside, you're tearing up, you're cracking up, you just have to go into, like, a shell, shutdown mode.
Imagine if you look over to someone else in the group and they're like... as well, you'd both just lose it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know that thing when you're sitting next to the person and you know they're laughing and you're not looking at them and you can feel them jiggling up and down? It's just so hard.
Yeah, I think generally the best, if you can, remove yourself from the situation. But I will say make sure that you're out of earshot because you don't want to go outside.
Because that's even more insulting.
It would be even worse.
and always be honest too. I mean, if it is inappropriate, you obviously can't help it. If you're not going to be able to stop, you have to say, what would you say?
You just apologise.
Say it's a funeral. I'm at the funeral, and you've got the giggles. What are you going to say to me?
I think in this situation you'd remove yourself.
And I turn around like this.
That is fine.
And you would say what?
You'd just be like, I apologise. And that's all you need to say. You don't need to come up with some poor excuse like, oh, I was thinking of a bad joke. Or...
Isn't it like inferior people get this more than others? I get it all the time. This morning I had an interview on something very, very serious. Well, not very serious, but about wealth, right? There's nothing funny about the topic, but the person I was interviewing, the man was called... The man's name was Doris van den Biesenbos. And honest to God, it's true, Kath, isn't it?
Well, you did. She
was crying.
Your laughter is infectious, and it just got me going. And you're right, I felt the couch doing this after you were doing these ones.
He's probably watching now, and he was a lovely man.
Because in essence, that's quite xenophobic, really, laughing at someone's name that's foreign to you. Which is what you did.
The tongue on the top of the
Tongue on the top of the
yeah,
chin.
yeah.
Tongue on the...
Nothing's
See,
funny.
a lot
Bite
of the
your
times,
tongue.
Danielle, we can't remove ourselves from this situation.
No.
We can't talk by holding our tongue like
I'm
that.
biting my tongue now.
Anyway, thank you for those tips because I'm sure
Excellent.
Paul will employ some of those
Oh, yeah.
daily, if not weekly.